Good evening, everybody. Welcome to June 26, 2023's council meeting. Will you all please stand for the pledge? Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, so take the roll call.
Councilman Gary Donovan.
Councilman Gary Donovan, Council at Large, present.
Councilwoman Colleen O'Connor.
Councilwoman Colleen O'Connor, Council at Large here.
Councilman Ronald Quagliani.
Councilman Ron Quagliani, here.
Councilwoman Bridget Hosky.
Here.
Councilwoman Melly Garthwaite.
Councilwoman Melly Garthwaite, 2nd District, present.
Councilwoman Sarah Akbarelli is absent. Councilman Mitchell Galagnano is absent. Councilwoman Robin Watt Hamilton. Here. Councilwoman Kathy Tucker.
Councilman Catherine Tucker, 7th District, present.
Councilman Victor Boris.
Councilman Victor Boris, 8th District, present.
Councilman Robert Bruno is absent. Councilman Stephen Johnstone.
Councilman Stephen Johnstone, 10th District, present.
And Chairman Peter Mazzaro.
Chairman Peter Massaro, 6th District Councilman is here, and before we start, I just wanted to say we're very happy to see our 1st District Councilwoman back, healthy and well. And I'm going to turn it over to Councilman Quagliani. Please, public hearing.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We have 2 public hearings this evening. The first one is public hearing from the Finance Committee, Communication J, from the June 12, 2023 agenda from Abdul Qadir, City Engineer, regarding an ordinance appropriating $6,956,000 for the cost associated with upgrades to the Oyster River wastewater pumping station. It is now 6:54 p.m. Your Finance Committee is in session. Members present are Councilwoman Hamilton, Councilwoman O'Connor, Councilwoman Hosky, myself, Councilman Quagliani, acting as chair. Councilwoman Akbarelli is absent this evening. Is there anyone from the public that would like to address the council regarding Communication J from the June 12th agenda? For the second time, is there anyone from the council, the public that would like to address the council regarding Communication J from the June 12th agenda? For the third and final time, anyone from the public would like to address the council on Communication J from the June 12th agenda? Seeing none, Mr. Chairman, your public hearing on Communication J is now closed at 6:55 p.m.
Thank you, Councilman Quagliani. And then I'll turn it over to you at 6:55 for the second public hearing.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. It's 6:55 p.m. Your Finance Committee is now in session. Council members present are Councilwoman Hamilton, Councilwoman O'Connor, Councilwoman Hosky, myself, Councilman Quagliani, acting as chair, and Councilwoman Akbarelli is absent this evening. Before us is a public hearing regarding Communication F from the June 12, 2023 agenda from Maureen Lillis, MPH, Director of Health, regarding changes in fee schedule. Is there anyone from the public that would like to address the council regarding Communication F? For a second time, anyone from the public like to address the council regarding Communication F? And for the third and final time, Marge?
Okay, Margaret A. Krasminski, 1 Roebuck Street in Allentown. Why aren't the fees showing on the report here what they're going up to?
I don't know what you're referring to, Marge. On the
fees.
agenda?
Well, the health department fees are going up.
Yeah,
What are the fees?
We'll discuss that when the health director's here, when that time comes up
But
on the
that's
agenda.
after the fact.
She'll address
She's
them.
asking for an increase in fees. What are the fees?
We will address those later in the agenda.
Yeah,
what
but
they are.
that's after the fact when you're asking the public to address the fees.
Marge,
What good is it?
Marge, the packet is online and has been online.
I don't care about online,
Well,
okay?
that's where the information is.
No, no. That's not fair. You're asking this is a public hearing. She's asking for an increase in fees. Okay? I'm asking, what are the fees? Don't ask me to go online. I don't care about that. You're asking for an increase in fees, but she made a request, all right? You should have it here, not after the fact, when it's a public hearing. It should be shown here. Okay? That's kind of dumb to request an increase. Okay? You should show it. She should be right here now, beforehand, showing what the fees are going to be. I mean, I know I'm intelligent, and I can figure, hey, you want an increase? Okay, show it before the fact, not after the fact, because then we won't have a time to look at it. That's kind of dumb and stupid. Where I work, if I had to do something, I had to show what I was requesting. Even before that other thing that you're looking for. You know what? You gotta put something where the public you want a request of. This is kind of stupid. She's going to get up here, and then we won't have we can't let me think. We won't have the ability to speak on it. Right?
Right.
Right?
And the information's been out to the public for 2 weeks, as is normal, on the packets for the city council agenda. We never have the entire packet up there. You have
I know
the agenda.
that. I've
and
been
you,
sitting
and you
through
go,
this.
Right, so the information's been out there, Marge. It's not like
Oh,
we've
really?
hidden it. Yes, it has been.
Oh, really? But what if somebody not able to look at it if it's out there? You know what? You better do a better job of presentation, because as far as I'm concerned, this is why we, the public, are duped. Really? You better come up with a better agenda, because we, the public, have been duped on a lot of things with this city. And we're paying for it, and I'm sick and tired of paying for it. That's my opinion.
Thank you, Marge, for your comments. Is there anyone else from the public that would like to address the city council regarding communication F? Mr. Mullins?
Well, Stephen Mullins, 22 Oak Road in Allentown. You know, I wasn't going to talk about this subject matter at all. Actually, it was one of the last things in my mind. However, Ms. Kuzminski made some really good sense, and we don't agree a lot. Sorry to have my hand in your face, but all right, when we don't agree on a lot. But you know, in planning and zoning, when I was there for rather long, it was 2 public hearings a month, roughly, and the applicant gave a presentation, and the public was invited to come up and speak about the presentation, about what they heard. In this case, the public's pretty much going blind. So may not know what to speak about unless a presentation is presented. So it probably can't be done for Ms. Lillis's presentation tonight, but going forward, the council should probably entertain doing or conducting public hearings in a different manner, where the presenter gives a presentation and the people have the ability to speak on the presentation that they just heard. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mullins, for your comments. Anyone else regarding communication F from the June 12th agenda?
I agree with what he said.
Would you like to step up to the podium?
Lori Simone, 107 Richards Place. I agree too. I mean, I'm not real good online, and I don't, half the time try to use my computer and it doesn't work, and it leaves me with a 1.5-inch iPhone screen, which led me to the Thursday night concert last Thursday, which, because the screen's 1.5 inches, I couldn't tell. It said first one starts, the Thursday night series starts on a Friday. So, yeah, I was duped last week too. So information be nice.
Is there anyone else from the public that would like to address the city council regarding communication F? Seeing none, Mr. Chairman, your public hearing is now closed at 7:02 PM.
Thank you, Councilman Quagliani. For everybody's information, that information was out since June 12th.
What information?
The information on the fee changes. Okay. Now we're going to public session. Would anybody like to come up and address the council? Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Not much room back here, Bob. I'll do my best to squeeze in. My name is Ralph Preet. I've been a resident of West Haven on and off for about the last 93 years. And
You have your address, Mr. Preet?
761 Tummel Lane in West Haven. I like West Haven. I've lived here all my life. A small working man's town, blue collar. We'll never be a Greenwich. But we do have something that Greenwich doesn't have, and that is a mile and a half of most beautiful, pristine shoreline, probably on the East Coast. And that actually is the subject of my comments this evening. I meant to make them to a committee meeting last week, which had been canceled. I also was on the city council here in West Haven in the late 80s, which is relevant to these comments. Back in the late 80s, the special zone that was created to create the shoreline was about to run out. All the owners of the parcels along that line were poised then to begin to develop that shoreline to the point where we thought that with all the buildings going up, that would effectively bar people from actually getting onto the shoreline. So the city council at that time, with the administration, decided that we're going to stop that from happening by actually buying up the parcel that had not yet been developed on. And we did. The remaining parcel, the final one, was belonging to a well-known developer at the time. He labeled it the casino, what they called it, whimsically. And he was in a long line of users of that parcel, none of which made a financial success out of the parcel. None of them. It never has. So at any rate, we did bail him out by buying up the parcel. Actually, some of us didn't want to do that, but we did it anyhow, because the city said, well, don't worry about it. What we're going to do is we're going to take that beautiful building and we're going to convert it into a banquet and wedding venue, and then thus make all kinds of money with that and defray the cost of the purchase. Well, the results were predictable, and you can see right now. From almost day one, it was a millstone around the city's neck. West Haven does many things very well, but running a wedding venue is not one of them. So everything is fine, and then most recently I got word somehow or other through the paper that parcel was being developed, and it was being given to a developer who was going to put another building there, and who was going to create another restaurant. And I looked at it and said, how could anybody do that? The city policy was to not develop there. And that was well established, and if you look back in the minutes of those meetings, resolutions and so forth, the policy was to not develop, keep it as a city property. Nevertheless, I see it happening. 99 years, we'll lose control of that property. God only knows what could happen in that time. Property which is there for the benefit of all of us. The unparalleled beauty of that area, marred by yet another commercial building. And to boot, another, what in West Haven we call a gin mill. You want to call it a beer hall, but it's also a gin mill, in a location where if you throw a baseball, you could hit 3 gin mills any place on Campbell Avenue. So what's the possibility for success of that? Almost zero. Be back here another 3 years, you're looking for another bailout. Is that really what you want? So what can you do with it? Well, here's my suggestion. Do it what we should have done 35 years ago. We get a bulldozer, we knock down that building, which was the casino, we get rid of the organic material, we pile it up, we cover it with 2 feet of topsoil, and we plant on it, put a few benches, gradually bring it into a area where people could sit and enjoy and watch the seagulls do what they do, like drop in my car, for example. And it'll be there for everybody forever, for you, your children, and your children's children. That's really what we want. I think it's still possible to do that. And I don't know exactly what the mechanism would be right now, but I kind of hope that you guys now will take the initiative and stop this and do something reasonable for the people of West Haven. Okay, thank you very much for your time. Appreciate it.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Mr.
Mr. Prick.
Anyone else like to come up and address the council? Yes, ma'am.
Hi, my name is Laura Gristini. My primary residence is 80 Lake Ave in West Haven, but I also own properties on Stevens Ave and on First Ave. And Friday, my tenant called me, very concerned, because pay to park signs were put in front of the house. And we had no information on this. I've tried to get information. Is it only certain days? The Stevens Ave property is about a block away from the VA hospital. And for over 20 years, I mean, it was my grandmother's house. I grew up in that area, so I'm very familiar with it. Parking has been awful there for over 20 years. And it's fine to do something about the parking, but now if we have guests that come that don't live in West Haven, do they have to pay to park there? I mean, is it only certain days of the week? Is it only like during VA hours, Monday through Friday, 8 to 5? There's no way to find out this information. I've tried. I emailed Victor. I haven't heard back yet. I only emailed Friday, so I will say that. I mean, the signs only went up on Friday, so, I had no clue it was happening. And even the placement of the signs is weird, because it's like one on one side of the street, on the other side of the street, there isn't any. Then if you go a house up on the other side of the street, there's 2. And then the house next door, which actually my brother owns because my father owned it and he passed away, so my brother lives there now, there's where the sign is placed, you actually can't park there because it's too close to the corner. So I don't, I'm just trying to find out information. And there's nowhere to find it out. I've gone onto the websites, I've tried calling different places, tried calling City Hall today. It's like revolving, you can't get a person. So it'd just be nice to tell the residents, especially when, that is a residential area. I realize the VA parks there, the workers park there, but it's all homes there. And can you park outside of your home on the street without paying? If you have a guest that comes that's not a resident of West Haven, we're very, we move around a lot now. It's not like everybody's in West Haven. So I have family in Wallingford, so what happens there? And I just want to know where to find that information. And, I don't agree that those signs got put there. They didn't even get put on First Ave. You want to talk about, people parking for the VA. The VA is on, not First Ave, West Spring Street, I'm sorry. None got put on West Spring Street. They got put on Stevens Ave and on Abner. And those were the only two streets, and I drove around there Friday night looking for signs. And they're only on one side of Stevens Ave. If you cross over Highland Street, and one of the properties I'm talking about is at the corner of Highland Street and Stevens. So the signs are on Stevens, but they're not on Highland Street, so they're just gonna go around the corner and park around the corner on Highland Street, or they're gonna go on the other side of Stevens Ave. So what's the sense of even having them there? So I'm just trying to find out those questions, so if anybody can help me, let me know. And that was it.
Thank you, ma'am. Anybody else like to come up and address the council? Yes, ma'am.
Good evening, John Lewis, 10 Peppermill Drive, West Haven. I just had a couple questions. Hopefully we can get them answered. It seems to be, we have quite a few vacancies in City Hall. So I'd like to know, is the mayor's chief of staff still on the payroll? Is there somebody that has replaced him? Corporation Counsel, I believe he was due back on the 4th of June. Has he been replaced? Are we paying him also and paying an outside firm to do some of our legal work? Also, in the finance department, do we have a finance director? And I believe there were several other vacancies in the finance department. Have they been filled? And are we paying these people also, if they are vacant, are we paying them also? So, we are taxpayers. We all pay a pretty good chunk, and it sounds like it's probably gonna go up, probably $1 million or so. So, are we paying people for being absent? Is there something being done with it? Are we hiring an outside firm and paying them an hourly rate, or, something to keep the legal work being done? It's a legitimate question, very concerning. Maybe I missed something. If I didn't, I apologize that I didn't know, but I don't see these people around. Has the Corporation Counsel packed their bags and gone away? So I really appreciate it if I can get some answers from at least my councilman and one of the at-large people, if you guys can get those answers for me. I'd appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lewis. Anyone else like to come up and address the council? Yes, Eleanor.
Thank you, Mr. Councilperson. Chair. Eleanor Slamba, 18 4th Avenue. And I guess I'm going to chime in on this theme of financial accountability and traceability. I know that's the direction that we're moving in, and rightly so, with the help of Mr. Taylor and others. I'm going to start with a quick quote from an article June 3rd in the New Haven Register by Brian Zahn. It said, "The City Council in February voted to assess the market value of the building," meaning the former Masonic Temple at 304 Center Street, after Ken Carney recommended against the conversion of the building. And then he said, "I understand the building is abated and gutted, which makes it more attractive to buyers." So we're coming up on July 1st, which is 5 months after you all voted to collect that market intelligence to kind of guide and steer the Art Center project. To my knowledge, we don't have that set in motion yet. So the arts communities had to kind of steer without the benefit of that intelligence of what the market would bear for that building, which could inform the future of it. But in any case, speaking to that quote about, "I understand the building is abated and gutted, which makes it more attractive to buyers," there is sort of a stakeholder engagement piece that I just want to discuss, because the money that was raised to abate and gut the building came with some strings attached for a particular purpose. It was the Masonic Temple / Art Center project. And this isn't ancient history or the Mists of Avalon. I mean, I'm looking at a city e-blast from December 14th, 2016, less than 10 years ago, that said the Masonic Temple was bought in 2007 with a $650,000 state grant to be a first-class cultural arts center. They did some consulting. Then there was a $500,000 gift the city received from Yale University to support the project, and the city was the fiduciary partner for the board of the Center for the Arts. And then there are some other grants: $550,000 from the State Bond Commission, $371,000 from the U.S. Energy Department, $40,000 from the State Department of Economic and Community Development's Office of Culture and Tourism, and $20,000 from the Connecticut Main Street Center. Mr. Taylor and I shared some correspondence around budget season about what that line item in the city coffers looks like now for the balance of those accumulated grants, and it's $339,102.66. That's in a separate account or line 00206 Masonic Temple / Art Center, and it includes remainders of a state grant, the Yale donation, something that says miscellaneous, the federal grant, construction funds, and so that $339,102.66 is the remainder that's there. So I just, in the spirit of, again, accountability, trackability, traceability, and decision-making guided by data and dollars, just wanted to go over these as not only grants but also relationships, and without closing the loop or finding out what interest these stakeholders still have in the building, I think the city's leaving itself open as a liability. It's not something you just want lawyers to try to, toss over to the lawyers to work it out. These are relationships, and as people who've written grants, of whom I'm sure there are many on the council, know, when you go back to a funder, they look at the track record and the history, and we don't want to harm those in the future who might go to those same funders for the same or a similar project. So just bringing that to bear for your advisement. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Owner. Anybody else like to come up and address the council? Would anybody else like to come up and address the council? Mr. Hickey?
Michael Hickey, 32 Bungalow Lane. About the brewery, the big brewery that was supposed to go in is now downsized. All right, this is what happens when the city council doesn't pay attention to what's going on around them. All right, you're gonna put a booze tavern on the beach. When the state has got prohibition in reverse going in. You do understand that the legal limit to drive is now .05. If you're interested in what that is, that's a half a beer, all right, or you used mouthwash. Simple as that. What the state is telling you, don't drink and drive. If you want to drink, stay at home. Simple as that. Prohibition in reverse. Instead of outlawing alcohol, we're going to outlaw the use of drinking it outside your home. But we're going to build a tavern down there. Well, the West Haven police are going to be busy. I hope they don't need funds because they can just pick up every DUI that picks up the beer there. Because that's a higher alcohol content than what's sold in the store. Second thing, I hear that the Public Works Commissioner now is also the part-time exec for the mayor. let's see, we're picking up 100 grand as the Public Works Commissioner, and we're gonna pick up an extra 50 Gs as part-time. But can anybody here explain me how you can do both jobs at once? Huh? That's a trick I've never figured out. Boy, I would've loved to have done that. All right? Double dipping on the same time sheet. And plain English. And you're picking up an extra $20,000 on an overtime sheet that was made out on a cocktail napkin with no paperwork. The reason I'm bringing that up is the simple fact is during COVID, at the end of it, the public workers made out like bandits. All right, they all got bonus checks, $1,000 here, everything here. But 2 weeks ago, as usual, the town threw the taxpayers under the bus. We're selling tax liens again, huh? I remember a city councilwoman telling me, you can't micromanage a budget. It's probably true. But one thing this town doesn't have a problem doing is micromanaging taxes. All of you should get a list of the taxes that were sold. Also a set of list of the taxes that weren't. You will find out that people are being thrown under the bus, some of them for $50, $75, $1.25. All right, instead of just having the sent a letter out to them that they probably did forget. But also remember that the private sector got hammered worse than the public sector. Yous worked. Public works worked. The teachers got paid, the police got paid, the firemen got paid. I had a lot of friends whose shops were literally shut down or running on a minimal. Unemployment doesn't pay enough for what you were making in 40 or 50 hours. I don't care who you are. They didn't get any bonuses at the end, and a lot of them lost their jobs. Did anybody ever suspect that that might be the reason that they're behind on their taxes, like they're behind on every other bill? See, I got fixed income, so I can adjust my lifestyle by what I need, but even I'm running out of the ability. All right? Because one thing that's guaranteed in this town is we got nothing going for it except the increase in our mills. That's the one thing that's guaranteed in this town. And we're getting to the point that we will be the highest paid town, actually city, in this state. But if you come to West Haven, there's nothing here. Oh, we're going to have a booze party up there at the brewery if it's ever built. All right, and then we can all sit there and lounge in the sand at what used to be what was going to be the Haven that never got produced. All right, but stay away from Beach Street because that's all high-end condos. All right, and I'm quite sure security will be increased over there. All right, just like the woman who says there's no information here. I went to go to Prospect Beach House with never knowing that Beach Street is now closed. I got there and I had a wine over there. You understand that with me, everything is important and knowledge is important to me. I have a wife at home that's totally dependent upon me. So every move I make and everything I do is based around her. So when I get thrown in stupid things because you don't put the signs up far enough to let people know that Beach Street's closed, well, we run into these things. And you want to see the traffic of all the people weaving in and out. What are you going to do when summer comes here for the beach? Where are all these people out of town that are going to come? What a mess this town is going to be. What a mess. There's no organization anymore at all. It's all let's fill our pockets and get out. Well, I got some bad news for you. And I hope all the taxpayers are watching me. It is time to retire the Democratic Party in this town for a strong 10 years. Do you learn to take care of the people? And not the people that don't matter. But the taxpayers themselves. You're burying us. And you have been burying me. I've been here in this town for 25 years, and all you did was bury us. Nothing going. All the stores around the border of West Haven are even closing. We're broke. We're poor. We got nothing going for us, and the simple fact is, the taxes are too high. No business wants to come in here. They're out of their minds. They're getting sweeter deals all around us, including in New Haven. I just don't see it. Or you just don't care. One or the other. Make up your mind. If you don't care, do yourself a favor. Just walk away. I want people here that actually care and going to sit down and put their mind together, whether Republicans or Democrats, and come up with a plan. Because you not got nothing going for you. Your idea is, don't worry, we'll balance the books. We'll give everybody a raise and we'll raise the mill rate. Well, the MTN machines are broke. You wiped us out. There's no more money.
Anybody else like to come up to address the council? Would anybody else like to come up and address the council? Yes, ma'am.
Hello, Christine Gallo, 52 Richmond Avenue. I kind of have to recalibrate what I was going to say. I expected to be speaking after someone else that we hoped would be here, was supposed to be here tonight to speak about the Haven. This is a person who's put a bid in on the Haven. He evidently, he's from Westport, might be in traffic, whatever. He's not here. I'm going to speak and say what I know about it. It's about time people know that this is happening. He showed up at my Economic Development Commission meeting in April. He asked if he could speak. We didn't know who he was. We said, sure, you can speak. He said, I put in a $50 million bid on the Haven, and it expired tonight at 6 o'clock. I expected to own it. This was by far the highest bid. He never heard from Simon. He was dealing with Tom McCarthy and some other people in here. He said, oh, he's really helping me. So he was very upset that he hadn't heard from Simon. Simon was the problem, of course. So we said, kind of cynically, at least in my case, and I think we were all thinking this, yeah, what do you want to put there? And he said, we expected high-rise luxury condos and maybe some storage units. And he said, whatever West Haven wants. So after we picked our jaws up off the floor, I don't think there was as much joy in Mudville since Mighty Casey had struck out. We talked to him for a while. His ideas and our ideas working together, this was the best news I've heard in the 40 years I've lived here. This could be the best thing for this city in 40 years. And, of course, we can't control Simon. So the next morning, I called the mayor's office. I said, could you give me corporation counsel if he's there? Because he's the only person I know who was dealing with Simon. Oh, yeah, he's there. I left a message for his secretary. Tom McCarthy called me within an hour because he wasn't there, evidently. And he said, here's who he has to get in touch with. And it was somebody he'd already been in touch with. But I called this guy, and he works for Simon, I believe. And he said, oh, his bid was accepted this morning. Simon was traveling. And he's now in the mix, quote unquote. So we're like, yeah, okay, all right, let's go. He's the only one who put in a bid that did not require zoning changes. Another positive. So I called him at the beginning of this month and I said, Mr. Pendry, would you like to speak at our meeting this month and let us know what's going on? And what I was told was, evidently Simon is working with somebody out of the country in Toronto. They really want to sell to them. It's another luxury mall developer. And he still has the highest bid. He said, I feel like I've been bidding against myself. He offered them $15 million in cash. And he still has a $50 million bid. Now, I know that we do not own the property, and we can't tell landowners what to do, but we sure as heck can control the zoning over there. Now, he was going to be here tonight, and he was going to tell you what he wanted to do there and give you some ideas. And so my original speech was just to get up after him and say, Economic Development Commission, a volunteer commission, is now the only person he can get in touch with in this city. Nobody else will call him back. So it's not just Simon treating him like this now, it's the city. I think they think, well, we can't do anything, let it go. All right, this is something that if we let this go, if you guys don't look into it and you don't, this guy will come and speak, okay, at some point. I don't know what happened tonight. I'm sure something came up. But this is somebody that if this goes to somebody else and they say, we're just gonna put condos in there, and planning and zoning says, yeah, we're gonna change zoning for that, and people know what we could have had there, and we're talking hotel, marina. He's,
Top level now. Come on up, buddy.
are you, I'm just finishing up here, so, well, I guess I don't have any more to say. My thing is just to exhort you to listen and to please do everything you can do to support this, and to give support to someone who really wants to do something for this town after that property has been a mess for all these years. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Gallo.
Anyone else like to come up and address the council? You already had your. Yes, Mrs. Weinstein.
Good evening, Paige Weinstein, 20 Platt Avenue. I was prepared tonight to talk about something else. However, we have the opportunity to talk to somebody who wants to do something wonderful in our town. We talk about the fact that we need to increase the grand list. This is our opportunity for economic development, redevelopment, reducing or increasing the grand list so that it reduces the mill rate. I would ask all of you, whatever the traditional agenda is, I would hope that every one of you will allow this gentleman to get up and speak. I understand that it is not the typical scenario. However, he came here tonight because nobody else is listening to him. Let's at least show him who West Haven really is. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Weinstein. Anybody else like to come up and address the council? Would anybody else like to come up and address the council? Yeah. Ma'am, you already had a chance.
She was at the hearing though, wasn't she?
Pat,
Yeah, she talked at the other public hearing. Yes.
Hi, Pat Lero, 146 Connecticut Avenue. Lifelong resident here. Sometimes I wonder why. But I love the people and I love the city. I just have a couple of concerns. Many of my concerns have to do with communication, and you heard tonight, people are not communicating. Last year in June, I emailed the mayor's office and asked for a list of the boards and commissions. I emailed the following week and asked for a list of boards and commissions. The third week I called and I got Killian, who said, she's out, email her again. I emailed her again and I got told, you need to get to the clerk of the city council. And I said, well, that's great, except since Mike DeMassa is not there, I don't know who it is. So I started on July of last year, July 2nd, asking the clerk of your council to send it to me. It is now almost a year later, I still don't have it. The boards and commissions, we have a lot of vacancies. I thought we should try to fill those. I thought the mayor's office would have it because the mayor's office is the one who appoints that. So I did finally get it, but not from the city council office. Here's my concern when we talk about communication. The parking for the fireworks. All of a sudden, citizens were gonna pay, they weren't gonna pay, then everyone was gonna pay. It's like, why is nothing thought through? Who makes these decisions? Because it makes you and me on the Board of Ed, it makes all of us look like a bunch of jerks, like we have no idea what one hand is doing. So, like, those kinds of things are really sad. The banners, the big thing with the banners, I know there was a miscommunication. He didn't know he was supposed to come, he didn't know economic development was going to do it. Now we have no banners. The banners up there are falling apart, they're not on their right. There's no banners on part of Captain Thomas Boulevard. So now, instead of having banners that were new, that were gonna advertise our community, now we have junky old banners or no banners. And the other concern that I have is concerning the brewery, because we changed the zoning for the brewery, if I'm correct, so that you could be a brewery and not just a bar, or a gin mill, that's what my father used to call them. So if we change the zoning, and now we've changed the plans, and it's just gonna be a bar, don't we need to go back and change that zoning? Because at some point in the 100 years that you're giving this lease out for, somebody else can come in and say, oh, it's light manufacturing, and I'm going to do something different. And we would have nothing to say because the zoning is already in place. I don't know if that's how it works. I'm asking you if somebody could check that out. I will also check with planning and zoning, but I don't have anybody's name or number except poor John Biancher that I inundate him with calls all the time. The last thing is Sixth Car Rental went before planning and zoning and wanted to have a car rental place by the railroad. the railroad. Our railroad is not a destination, our station. It's not a destination. It's just like you pass through. You're going to New Haven, you're going to New York, you're going to Stamford. Nobody stops here. Well, perhaps if you could get off the train and rent a car, maybe you could do it. But allegedly it didn't fall into the plan of TOD, which doesn't make sense to me, because if it's a transit-oriented district, transit is riding in a car, isn't it? It just didn't make any sense. So I don't understand why some of these decisions are being made that impact us. And we had six, I rented a car from Six. They gave me a Prius. Never really liked them after that. You walk in and they have Firebirds and Stingrays and beautiful cars, and they go, "You're in a Prius." I'm like, "Prius?" I drove it though because it was the cheapest one on the lot. But they're nice people, they're great people, they're over on Derby Turnpike, they're already here, they wanted to stay with us. It's a company that wanted to stay with us, and we said no. None of this makes sense to me, and I don't know what you can do about it. I truly don't know what you as the council can do about it, but we need to address some of these issues, because we're shooting ourselves in the foot, and we're not making the progress we could be making, and we have a lot of good people who want to do good things, and it's not happening, and it makes me just very, very sad. So I'm here tonight to say, please, if there's something I can do, call me. I'm willing to volunteer. I'd be willing to help out. I would be willing to be on a board or commission, but I don't have the list. I just think we can do much better, and I think we need to. And you people have 4 more months before you get reelected or run again or choose not to run again. You have 4 months to make a difference. Don't waste it. Don't waste it, because the people of West Haven need you to be there for them. I need you to be there for them. Please be there for us. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, Steve.
So it has, Mr. Chairman. All right, Stephen Mullins, 22 Oak Road in Allentown. Sorry. All right, so we've been listening to several citizens give examples of how West Haven is ran inefficiently. And one prime example of how West Haven has got the reputation of not being business friendly. There is no reason why any developer has to be in touch with this person, that person, that person. No one get back to them or whatever when they've got an idea, a plan, whether we like that plan or not, we don't even know what it is yet, for all those acres of land that have taken up so much of our time and energy over the course of a decade. And that's because of lack of leadership at the top. And we've got to do something about it, and do something about it very quickly, because we cannot afford this reputation, and we cannot afford to have our citizens and our city embarrassed in general. Now, a lot of the citizens have spoken tonight about the beach. Mr. Preet, or former Councilman Preet, said, gave an example of comparing our beach to Greenwich. We've got the most beautiful beach. Well, he said the East Coast, but I would say definitely the state, which is true. But we've got a serious problem. Now, I know our police department is doing the absolute best they can under the circumstances that they're under, with being short-staffed, being overstretched, still only having between 8 and 9 officers on duty, patrol officers that is, on duty at any given shift. It is difficult, but we've got a serious problem going on at West Haven Beach, particularly the boardwalk. We've got young people, and I certainly hope they're not from West Haven. They probably aren't, because we've got some magnificent kids in West Haven. A bunch of magnificent kids just graduated last week or the week before, whenever it was. And, I'm always giving out awards or at an awards ceremony for West Haven kids. So we've got some fine kids. So these are probably some out-of-towner kids, but they're causing absolute havoc on the people of our city, and because the boardwalk is such an attraction for people all over the area, people from all over the place come here and they're causing major havoc with them too, between ransacking stores, between harassing families with children. We've got to do something. I don't know if we need to call and ask for additional patrols. I don't know how this is going to work out for the fireworks in the 3rd, which is supposed to be such a wonderful holiday for everyone. It's going to be the first time it's held on the 3rd in a few years now, because last year it was in September. I think it may have been closed for COVID a couple of years in a row. Definitely not 2020. I don't remember what happened in 2021. But I don't think we've had fireworks on the 3rd of July probably since 19, correct me if I'm wrong. But then we had problems, I don't know if 19, but in earlier years we had problems with fights and so forth with young people. We got a serious problem, and I hope that our police officers will be able to handle it and call in whoever they need to call in to help out to prevent situations from happening before they start happening. So kudos Chief Perno and the police department, but my empathy is with them, and we as a whole have to do something to make it better, because this is a reckless situation we've got going on. Thank you.
Thank you, Steve. Mrs. Simone, you want the podium?
I want to. I just. Lori Simone, 107 Richards Place. And it's just, I'm just asking about Tom McCarthy and the fact that he has 2 jobs, and isn't that double dipping, and is that allowed? That's what I want to know. Can anybody answer?
Not at this time.
I'm sorry?
No. We don't have an answer for that because we don't run that. We'll have the finance director elaborate on that later on. Anybody else like to come up and address the council? Would anybody else like to come up and address?
Good evening, folks. My name's Rich Hebert, 166 Bloom Street. I've got a tiny complaint, all right? The men's restroom in City Hall has urinals that have been out of order for 4 years, at least. The water fountains aren't working in here. Now, in the grand scheme of things, you know, you guys are spending millions and millions of dollars. You think you'd get a plumber in here to fix that? You know, the small things, what's the old saying? For the lack of a nail, the shoe fell out of the horse and you lose the war. We're losing a war because we don't pay attention to the small things, the small details on which everything else is based. There's a lot of things that are going by here, and they're going by so fast. How do the questions that these people are asking, how do people get these positions and double dip? That does not seem right. There's something rotten in Denmark. Maybe we're under the wrong impression, but somebody's got to come up with an explanation of how these things are happening. And who do we go to? You folks are the city council. You should have some say in what's going on here. When things go wrong, who do they go to? They come to you guys. You're the guys that are the buffer. And I'm sorry, well, whoever's mayor or whatever, we get the problems. At the end of the day, it comes down to the average citizen. 'Cause we get to pay the taxes, we get to pay the parking fines, we get to be stifled. You know, for as long as I've been coming here, we've heard about the Arts Center.
Yeah.
One way or another, please make a decision and spend some money. We've got people running around here spending millions and millions of dollars. We want some stuff that benefits the citizens of West Haven. And I know what you can do about it, and I don't know how to put the complaint in the proper manner, but I think you get the idea that there's something not right here. You know, for as long as I can remember, our town has been called Waste Haven. I don't like that. I think we should be Best Haven, not Waste Haven. Thank you.
Anybody else like to come up and address the council? Yes, Margaret.
I'm gonna drill him too. Okay, Margaret A. Krasinski, 1 Robarts Street. What is this? Tom McCarthy's got 2 jobs? There's nobody else that can fill in? You got rid of Lou Esposito. What is the compensation for Tom McCarthy that he's doing 2 jobs? Who's watching Public Works? You have the fireworks that's going to be coming. You're going to be using Public Works employees because they're going to have to be cleaning up. Where's Mr. Corporation Counsel? Is he back on the job? Because he was suspended for a few weeks. Nobody's answering questions? It seems like this town is getting worse and worse. How can we run a city with no answers? And who is running the city? Come on, Mr. Chairman. I want answers. We have a police department. There's no answers. Every time you look on the agenda, there's no answers to that police department. 401k plan. You got 3 fire departments. You got a boardwalk that's getting out of hand now with young people down there. There's nobody capable to help things around here. And liens, you're doing liens when people lost their jobs. Yeah, you're okay. You're taken care of. People of Allentown are taking care of your pension. That's a shame. We don't have a fire department. We're supposed to build one. We don't know where the heck we're going to do that. We don't have a library, but we have a Dollar Tree that's coming to Allentown. Isn't that wonderful? Forest Road. Oh my God, it's horrible to drive down. Terrible to drive up, but good old UNH, we're taking care of UNH in Allentown. And the students in lovely West Haven, I wonder how they're doing after 2 years, almost 3 years with the pandemic, how they're doing in the classrooms. I know a lot of kids are suffering because of that stupid pandemic.
Anybody else like to come up and address the council? Would anybody else like to come up and address the council? Third and final time, does anybody else like to address the council? Yes, sir.
I'm a non-resident. Is it? Oh, I'm sorry, Mike, so that's why.
He's a non-resident too.
We should enter new business, by the way.
I'm gonna, no, wait a minute, Daryl, him first. No, get up, sir.
I'm gonna move this forward if that's all right.
Fine with me.
Yeah, right.
One small little piece there. My name is Jim Pendry. I live at 183 Hills Point Road in Westport, Connecticut. I've been associated with the Haven. I've made numerous offers to try and purchase it. I've been sort of tracking it since, I think, before you guys even knew about it, the inception. I was at a National Home Builders show and sat on a creative land planning panel, and the man who was behind all this learned I was from Connecticut. He comes over at the break. You're from Connecticut? I got this plan in West Haven. Oh my God, it's the best thing in the world. I'm like, West Haven? Greenwich, Rowayton, Westport, West New Haven even, East Haven, West Haven, you know, anyway. I've been watching it for a long time, and
So have we.
I've watched a lot of people that really don't know anything about Connecticut, don't have a feel for Connecticut, potentially are buying it because they're trying to protect the Milford Mall, you know, from Clinton Crossing coming here. You know, they want to make sure that they're 20 miles away instead of 10 miles away. And I guess the question I have is, what's your involvement? I mean, I would think a major parcel, it's been controversial for 20 plus years. Isn't the city council in contact with somebody and saying this is what we want or this is what we need? Or, I mean, everybody's addressing here, you know, all the shortcomings. You know, to me, it's easy to find fault with everything. You know, I love the analogy of, you know, the one nail starts the war. Well, the one nail also can start everything turning it around, and you get ratables and you get a tax base, and you suddenly are not, you know, always, you know, sort of robbing Peter to pay Paul, and you've got leadership, and, you know, New Haven has turned around dramatically in 15 years. They've gone from a 50+ mill rate to 38. I mean, that is huge. You know, you go down New Haven. You go downtown New Haven now, every kid within 25 miles is there partying, spending money in the bars, spending money in the restaurant. You can't walk down Crown Street. You can't walk down Chapel Street. You can't, the shops at Yale. I mean, it is a booming town. New York Times put it on the 25 best places to visit in the world, with Paris. You know, I mean, imagine you say, honey, let's go to New Haven instead of Paris. You know, what do you do day 3, you know? But anyway, so are you in touch with anybody from Simon Properties?
Well, we only answer people. First place, we're not in touch with the people.
And they don't reach out to you?
No, only when you go, if you buy the property, you go to planning and zoning, give them your plan, what you're gonna do.
No, I understand what my responsibilities are. I'm asking what your responsibilities are.
It comes to us after that. So we do not associate with the developers. It's planning and zoning, it's yourself telling them what you want done, and then it comes to us and we agree whatever you put in there. If we don't agree, do it, disagree. You gotta go through any kind of changes in the zoning or anything like that. We're not part of that.
I'm not suggesting that you're part of the planning and zoning process. Every municipality I've ever been involved in, city council or town council, first selectman or mayor, they're always involved in a project like this. They're always articulating what they want. They're always articulating what they don't want. They're always leading, you know. I mean, I know that's a difficult word, but.
You heard me say lack of leadership.
I did. I also heard, I like the nail.
Sir.
I like the nail.
You gotta talk
Use
to
the
them.
nail the
You
other
gotta
way.
talk to them.
So don't you think you have a role here in reaching out to them and saying, look, we don't want this. We don't want another outside billionaire family? I mean, my understanding is, what the broker told me was a real estate family from Toronto and New York has bought the property. You know, that's Bronfman, that's Reichman. You know, those are the two large billionaire families that would have obviously a 50-year relationship with the Simons. It would make perfect sense that they would do a deal with Simon for half what I offered, because they're Goomba buddies and they could give a shit about, they couldn't care less about, you know, the harbor in West Haven. And I think if you send out the message, this is what we want. We don't want a luxury outdoor mall. We don't want a discount mall. We want a marina. We want a hotel. We want housing. We want 55+ housing. We want workforce housing. We want do something with the VA where we really start to do some really good housing for military vets. I mean, that site can do everything for everybody. I mean, it could turn around this entire city. Open space, walking trails. Walk along the water. Put a seawall in there. I mean, it could be better than New Haven, honestly. I guess that. Well, anyway, that's all I wanted to say. I think you guys, you're sitting back there and you're listening and you're not really saying and responding to anybody. We don't have a mayor. We don't have a general counsel. It sounds like we maybe don't have a chief of staff, or we don't have a director of public works, one or the other. We don't have a director of planning. We don't have, we don't have a library. I know, I'm an outsider. I don't know anything. And I see a real problem that only you guys can fix.
Anybody else like to come up and address the council? Yes, Darrell.
All right, since you, Darrell Cummings, 918 10th Street Northeast, Washington, D.C. Since you've limited the amount of time that people could speak down to 5 minutes, obviously because you don't want to stay here late, but probably more that you don't really want to listen, I'll just dispense with the niceties. I usually get a few texts after your meetings. Last week, I got a considerable number of them, and it was directly related to the Nebco deal with the brewery. I am surprised after reviewing it that not one of you got the concept that they were using West Haven as leverage to get what they wanted in Woodbridge. They can talk about the lawsuits, but they got what they wanted in Woodbridge. They did the same thing that Kraft did with the Patriots 20 years ago, trying to bring the team to Connecticut. And it's just shocking that the conversation continued. Obviously, it's a lot less money, and they were ready to move. And the guy said it, we're ready to move as quick as we can, because he wanted you to pass it without thinking. And fortunately, somebody thought. That place is cleared for a brewery. I know it's on the agenda, I think, as Communication K, which apparently is going to be axed today. And if that's the case, that's the correct thing. But if the city and planning and zoning has already determined that that's a perfect place for a brewery, why don't we get the crack economic development team that we have here in the city marketing this to other breweries? If it was okay to put Nebco there, why wouldn't it be okay to put another brewery there? But the problem is council. I agree with what a lot of people here said today, that you need to do things. But the problem is you do nothing. And it's been occurring for quite some time. So all you need to do is pass the bonding package, the animal shelter donations, the little things. Anything else, just hold. Hold until December, the second week of December, when we can have some competent individuals sitting in these seats. And if you're offended by that, you certainly should be. Because we can go back a long period of time, especially for those who sat here in 2019. The first meeting in 2019, I proposed something I'd proposed for the previous 4 years about a bioscience enterprise zone, Railroad Avenue, from the railroad station all the way to the gates of Yale West. And what did you do? Nothing. What did New Haven do? You saw the article in the newspaper a couple days ago. In the last 3 or 4 years, just in biotech and bioscience companies that are building, nearly $500 million. Wouldn't you have preferred that to be on Railroad Avenue? But you did nothing. When you were warned in early 21 about improper checks going to directors, when it was confirmed by 2 audits, what did you do? You didn't do anything. Finance director told me personally, if there's something that says it in the audit, then I'll take care of it. She didn't do anything, nor did anyone else on the finance team. When you were asked individually and collectively in March, February and March, not by just myself, but by other members of the community, to oversee and approve all COVID expenditures, what did you do? You didn't do anything. Not one of you brought it up. And when you were told that ARPA money couldn't be used for police raises, granted, I was the only one carrying that. What did you do? You didn't look to read the actual final rule that says raises can't be given to public service individuals. You didn't do nothing. You didn't do your homework. And when the semantics game was played and it was turned into a retention incentive and then moved over to the police overtime, what did you do? You didn't do a thing. So when individually I was talking about the COVID funds and the overview. I spoke with the vast majority of those that were sitting here in 2019. One of them told me that they were far too busy trying to figure out how the budget process works. That they didn't have time to figure out what to do with special revenues. Two told me that everything was going to be fine, that the money is going where it's supposed to be. And he believed it. The ranking Republican here told me I was just being a troublemaker. And of course, I think the present chair remembers in the conversation that we had that he could not comprehend anything I was saying. He told me at the end of the conversation before he hung up, "You're just being an ass." Well, if I'm a troublemaking ass, that's fine. I did something. I informed you. What did you do? Nothing. You let the Damas of Four steal at $1.2 million. Any one of you, when you were spoken to about this, the overview, while watching the expenditures, did anything in March or April, he couldn't have been still taking checks in September of 21. Each one of you that was sitting here in 21 is complicit because you didn't do anything. And when the former chair, after the arrest, was exasperated and said, with all this oversight, what could we do? And that's a quote. The answer is your job. If any one of you did your job, you would have saved a lot of that $1.2 million and the $100,000 plus that was moved over to the police pension. You know, it's not on the front pages anymore, but there's still things being investigated, including the cronyism involved in the basketball camp that was brought by the first district councilwoman, who says she just brought it to it and didn't know anyone on there. Obviously, no one else was able to bid for that grant. No one else knew about it. And also, 9th District gentleman isn't here for that $19,000 that the city paid him. You're an
Time's up,
elected official.
I know what I know, but I don't just sit here and listen to you. You're over your time as well.
Everyone else went over their time. And as far as the 9th District candidate, councilperson who received more than $19,000 for delivering food for a private organization, delivering is fine. The city paying him is wrong. The organization should have paid him. So, just as I said, for the sake of the residents, for the remainder of this term, do nothing. Pass the little things. Hold all communications until a new council sits. You know, do what you're proficient at, which is nothing. No member of this council that sat here in 2021 should ever be able to be elected to serve residents again. You've damaged and contributed to the major issues while sitting in those seats. And hopefully,
All right, Darrell, your time's up.
the residents will vote for competent individuals to fill your seats.
Time's up.
And Mr. Chairman, I may be an ass.
You are. Go ahead.
All right?
Time's
But-
up.
But you're not going to get an apology from me to come back to your meeting. Thank you.
Thank God. Anybody else like to come up and address the council? Anybody else like to come and address the council? Third and final time. Anybody else like to come and address the council? Public session is closed. Clerk will read the. Oh, yeah. I approved the minutes for the meeting of June 12th.
So moved.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion passes.
Read the communications now.
Yeah, you read the communication.
We have before us Communication A from the tax collector regarding overpayment refunds for June 2023, which will be filed with tonight's minutes. We have Communication B from Abdul Qadir.
Excuse me, you can go out in the hall, please. Thank you.
Communication B from Abdul Qadir, city engineer, regarding a request for interdepartmental transfer of funds being assigned to the Finance Committee, acting chairman Quagliani. And we have before us communication C for David Taylor, Acting Finance Director, in regards to an ordinance appropriating $13,694,100 from the fiscal year 2022-2023 capital plan and authorizing the issuance of $13,694,100 in bonds, being brought out for a first read, being assigned to the Finance Committee, Acting Chairman Quagliani, and that concludes our communications
Okay, is withdrawn.
for,
Communication K is
you
withdrawn.
want me to say that, or you
Yeah.
want the Finance Committee to
You
say
say
it? And communication K from June 12th, 2023, agenda for Mayor Nancy R. Rossi regarding NEBCO pilot proposal, NEBCO lease agreement is being withdrawn.
Thank you, Stacy. So government as a council as a whole, Ken Carney is not here tonight to report on ARPA. He was here at last meeting. He'll be coming the 28th. Now I'll turn it over to the Finance Committee. Councilman Quagliani, please. Acting Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. It's 8:08. Your Finance Committee is now in session. Members present are Councilwoman Hamilton, Councilwoman O'Connor, Councilwoman Hosky, myself acting as chair, and Councilwoman Aquarelli is absent. Mr. Taylor? Sorry, you changed your seat on me. You threw me off.
This row has more leg.
It's like the airplanes. You gotta pick the right row.
That's right. Yeah, that's the exit row.
So why don't we start with updates, Mr. Taylor? FY year-to-date budget review, and if there's anything that you could potentially address based on some public's comments that you're may be able to discuss regarding tax liens or the status of your finance department openings, you're more than welcome to do so at this time.
Thank you. I do not have a updated report as far as year-to-date. As you know, we're understaffed. It's been brought up tonight. There's nobody in the finance department that it's being paid for not working. That I can say that unequivocally. In fact, I can also say, and I'm restricted from talking in public about personnel issues. It's just not appropriate. If anybody wants to formally request information, they certainly can. But I can say, as the person who reviews changes to the payroll, the person who approves the payroll register, that nobody's getting 2 paychecks in the entire city. So I will say that.
Thank you, Mr. Taylor. And just Mike, one question I have regarding the audit. Are we, how are we progressing with the, I know that we just awarded the 23, but how is 22 progressing?
2022 is, it's progressing okay. I wished it was going along a little faster. We had some hiccups getting some of the adjusting entries correctly posted in which was, on me. And we finally have gotten some trial balances to the auditors. However, they have pulled their samples, their initial samples, and they've reviewed everything that we provided them. Now that they have final trial balances, they're certainly able to make more selections, and of course we'll have to address that. But I've been very fortunate in the absence. Well, not fortunate that I'm missing people, but fortunate to have found a very good assistant. We have one as a contractor who is helping me as we work through the audit, as well as providing some very needed internal audit functions for the city. So I can say that the internal audit function is probably operating it's the best it ever has. So I'm very, very happy with that.
Anyone from the Finance Committee have any questions for Mr. Taylor regarding the year-to-date budget review? Anyone on the council? Councilman Johnstone?
Thank you, Chairman. Dave, just budget and review, kind of going back a little ways. I know things have been overwhelming. We're still a little short-staffed. Is there any hope on the horizon for the grants? in regards to something down the pipeline. I know it's almost like the mythological creature at this point for grants of, we lost our grants director. Olivia's been great, but she's just kind of still getting in motion here. So do we have any update on a list maybe soon? Potentially a small one?
A list was provided a few months ago. I think it listed $29 million roughly in grants
Right.
that exist outside of the ARPA funds, of course. I do have an update that there was on a couple of things. About $2.5 million in grants, $2.9 million in grants have been identified where there was no progress at all being made on pulling down the funds. Let's just to step back a little bit. On the grants that we manage in grants and aid, grants are awarded. The city has to go take operating funds and put those out and then ask for reimbursement. The team that's there now was not really privy to the big picture. They're suddenly getting a big dose of the big picture. We have an excellent consultant who would not consent to working here permanently. But she is helping the team, guiding the team, training the team on how to operate. And she has helped them to identify these grants, $2.9 million in grants and aid, where financial drawdowns are due, and they've actually had to file extensions, and been very fortunate with the granting agencies to get those extensions. Got an additional $2.5 million that we just identified. So of the, if you're keeping score of the $29 million that were outstanding, they've been able to get through about $6 million, and are very hopeful and encouraged to say that we're going to get that money drawn into the city.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you, Chairman.
Councilman Tucker?
Hi, Mr. Taylor. Can you talk to me a little bit about the process for different departments posting the fee schedules that they have? I think that the city, the Department of Health, that's the first one that I've seen since I've been here. And I've been asking, to see it. And the reason I'm asking is because there's a process apparently for fees to be charged to people when they want to, like, just say, for example, have a festival. But there's no place publicly where those fees are posted that I'm aware of. And people would really be interested in finding out where that information is. Do you have that? Is that available?
I'm not aware of where those fees are posted, unfortunately. Fees that I usually think about more are the building fees and the inspection fees and, all those kind of things. The fees for having a party, et cetera, I just don't know where they're posted. I'm unaware of that.
Right, but I'm asking, is that something you can...
Probably find something out for you.
Would you please, because
Yeah.
I really like that, and I think people are like really concerned that it's not public. It doesn't appear to be public and available to people, so
Yeah.
the process isn't transparent.
I'd be happy to try to help you, help with that.
What's that?
Thank you.
Anyone else from the council with Mr. Taylor before we excuse him temporarily?
Can I just say it's great to see my representative here for the first time in a while?
Yeah.
All right, stand by, Mr. Taylor, all right? You don't have anything you want to ask about tell us about the MARB meeting update. I know Councilwoman O'Connor has her report, but anything specific that you'd like to bring our attention to?
Not really. I will say that the MARB will be meeting in a couple of weeks. We will not be discussing the 5-year plan at that time. There are a couple of items that the MARB would like to know more about, and I know you're aware of these. Firstly, our plans to build a new firehouse and the impact that would be on tax base, so far as bonding another building. The relationship with the library is another thing that they would like to explore more. And secondly, our plans for our sewer, and it's the things that it looks like there's $100 million worth of debt over a short period of time that would be added, to our debt service. And again, the impact on the taxpayers, and are we doing the right thing? And so those are the two areas where the MARB says, you know what, we're not ready to look at your 5-year plan until you give us more information on these things. That won't happen at the next MARB meeting. The next MARB meeting is going to be more about approving contracts. We may have a labor contract, but definitely non-labor contracts that should be coming to them, mostly around ARPA projects.
Councilwoman Hamilton?
Yeah, hi, how are you, Dave?
Fine, how are
I wanna
you?
go back to the grants thing. I just wanna say that, your office did very well in pursuing the grant that's gonna kinda look at the flooding area in the Sanford Street area.
Mhm.
Residents are very happy about that, so hopefully this is the beginning to fixing that problem, and I just wanna give kudos to your department.
Well, thank you, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Councilwoman O'Connor?
The full MARB meeting was on June 15th, and it was in Hartford. David Taylor gave an update on the budget chart, on the budget changes. It was the same presentation that we received. There were a few comments and some discussion. Mr. Hamilton was happy to see all the changes and about the mitigation. Ms. Weisberg liked the budget. Mr. Waxenberg was concerned about open positions, the overtime in the police, fire, and public works. He claimed there was no apparent rationale for the overtime budgeted, but we said that we do need police overtime, and Mr. Hamilton debated almost every point that Mr. Waxenberg brought up. Mr. White was very happy with the budget. He had a few questions. When will Whittlesea's Phase 2 come out? He was concerned about the fire district's mill rate, but he did give props to the council, David Taylor, and to Whittlesea. The budget was passed. The 5-year plan was tabled for 30 days. David Taylor just went into that. The Tier 4 action plan, it was said that our team has done a great job in the past 30 days. The Whittlesea report will be made available once all the high-risk items have been taken care of. The financial manager that OPM is hiring is going through the final stages, and we should have that person in West Haven very soon. The removal and then all the action items were approved. So the removal and replacement of the rear dump truck body was approved. The purchase of 6 police vehicles was also approved. And the purchase of the public works skid steer was approved. For any of you that don't know, a skid steer is one of those little one-man machines that you can put the shovels or the plows or whatever on it so you could move earth or snow or carry big things. I had to look it up, so I thought everyone would want to know. Purchase and installation of overhead lube system for public works was approved. It will save us money when it comes to doing oil changes and stuff like that. The purchase of the 2023 rear loading garbage truck was approved, and the pre-approval of the mini sidewalk sweeper machine was approved. We need pre-approval because when they come up for sale, they're swept up just like that. And those are the mini sweepers that will clear like all the bottles and the paper and everything from the sidewalks. The monthly financial statements for April will then given by David Taylor and Matt from Board of Ed, Matt Cavallero from Board of Ed. David just talked about the audit, and the same things were said at the meeting. And then the open item list was gone over. It is a complete work in process, but everyone seemed to be okay with it. All in all, it was a very good meeting. It was one of the first meetings I didn't walk out of there feeling really upset about our city. I feel that David Taylor and his team is doing a wonderful job to help us put us right back on track. And that's it.
Anybody have any questions for Councilwoman O'Connor? Thank you, Councilwoman O'Connor. Mr. Taylor or Attorney Aiello, is there any update on the police pension study?
No. Not at this time.
Do you want me to say that?
Does anybody have any questions on that? Councilwoman Hosky.
So I was in my accident on March 7th. So that's 4 months ago. And I was given those, I stutter for my accident. I'm not having a stroke or anything.
So those were the same answers that I was given back then. So a little retrospect, when was COVID? 2020. 2020 is when I decided to actually do, like, was so annoyed at the lack of progress on the city side that I invited in Branford, and we had this huge meeting with Branford because they went from having a pension to the 401k to back having a pension. And today's 2023, 3 years, and we're still no update. So I can appreciate, no, actually that's a lie. I can't appreciate, because we're losing police officers hand over fist. My understanding, nobody's here that could really probably tell me, that we're losing 5 more July 1st. Did you hear that?
I didn't know it was 5, but I do know we're losing some.
So what are we, down to like low 90s? So I'm kind of thinking in my head, as Steve Mullen so eloquently said, we are struggling down at the boardwalk. I have forbid my daughter and my brand new ward to not go down there because it's so unsafe. Like, and we have 5 police officers getting ready to leave as of July 1st, and when might we move on that? Like, when is Milliman, what is the holdup? Because I am so tired of talking about it. And our public is, the police officers are, and there's gonna come a time where we're gonna have to call, what is it that you call? Mutual assistance, but what's?
Mutual aid.
Right, mutual aid, but what are we gonna have to call in, like the state police to help us man? National, thank you, I'm sorry. Like, for the love of God, there has to be something more than just nothing. And I know it's not you two, like, it's a bigger problem far before you came here. But you are the face of the administration, of the executive branch. And I'm so sick and tired of hearing that as an answer.
So in a public forum, I can't get into too much. But
Well, I just
as
need you
know,
to tell me something more than.
I would happy to. Have to. What I would be willing to say is that whereas when I arrived here, there was nothing going on.
When did you arrive?
I got here a year ago.
That there was nothing.
I
That's
was not.
alarming.
I was not evidencing anything going on. And I will just a comment. Implementing a pension plan for the officers that have been hired since 2009, and for officers that will be hired in the future. I guarantee anyone's going to stay, but it should help. But I
Well,
will
it's not
say
attracting new hires either. So I appreciate you're saying it's
Yeah.
not going to stop them from leaving.
Right.
It's not attracting anyone to
I
come.
believe I was saying that as well.
Yeah.
However, I will say that at this moment in time, that the negotiations are happening. So, the city is talking, the labor union is talking, but I really have to leave it at that.
So there's no date. Like, there's no, we're hoping to do this by September. I mean, we've been having these before, when you got here a year and a half ago. So
Yes.
you've been here a year. Like, I'm just, I don't, it's exasperating. Not you. Like, you're literally, I'm not upset at you. I'm upset that you're saying a year ago. He's been the chairman for a year and a half, and I've had this pension on here for a year and a half. The start, it's been on there, so that's frustrating to hear that. So I was lied to for 6 months.
So can I just say, just because I didn't know anything was going on.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
That's better. Thank you, because I was
at that time hired as a consultant and given a very
understood.
Very limited.
Thank you for the clarification, because
So,
my mind was going to
But now
explode.
it's very active.
Thank you for the clarification on it.
And I do know that the administration is committed to making something happen here. I've heard it many times.
You good?
Yes. Thank you.
Anyone else have any questions regarding that? Okay. Okay, that'll take care of the updates. So for the Finance Committee, we have in front of us Communication B from Abdul Qadir, City Engineer, regarding a request for interdepartmental transfer of funds. Is there a motion to approve?
Motion.
Motion by Councilwoman Hosky,
Second.
second by Councilwoman Hamilton and O'Connor. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Anybody opposed? Any abstentions? That motion carries. Communication C from David Taylor, Acting Finance Director, in regards to an ordinance appropriating, the agenda says $13,694,100 from the fiscal year 22-23 capital plan and authorizing the issuance of the same amount. I'd like a motion to
Motion.
approve. So, Councilwoman Hosky, is there a second? Second by Councilwoman Hamilton. Mr. Taylor? So I know there's a couple adjustments to this, if you could take the council through.
Yes, as we looked at the list, there were a couple of things on there that we discovered we really did not need to bond for. I don't know if you have it in color, but I believe it was the last Parks and Recreation item for playground repairs. Is that, it was not necessary to leave that on, it's $50,000. And there was in the police section, I believe that also was the last item on there. Bonding for $864,000 for police cameras. That also was not necessary, so we would like to pull those off the list. The total would now be $12,780,100.
$12,780,100, right?
Is that what you had?
Yep, that's what I have. Is there any discussion from the Finance Committee regarding the draft bonding ordinance? Any questions from the council?
I have a
Councilwoman
question.
Garthwaite? Yep.
Hi, Dave. Can you just help me with this, because I have, several vehicles on here. They're, part of Public Works. They are Crown Victorias, three Crown Victorias, a Taurus, Ranger pickup. They're really old vehicles, and the ask is like, for a 2003 is $18,000. For a 2004, $18,000. We have a Ranger pickup that's a 2004 for $45,000. Can you?
We have a habit of listing the car to be replaced.
Oh, the replace. Okay. So this
And
is my
it's- I know
first.
it's- no,
This
that's-
is my first.
I
I
don't
was a
like
little
it either.
confused. I don't like it at all. So then that would
Yeah.
answer my question
Yeah.
on this, all the patrol car replacements
Right.
for 55,000.
We list- right, we
Because they're
list
gonna
the-
be the Ford,
I guess one positive thing it does is it tells you, it gives you an idea of, oh, okay, that patrol car is X number of years old, makes sense that we go buy
would
another.
replace it, right? Okay, well, that makes sense.
Yeah.
And then just one other small question. The street paving, have we spent any of this money yet?
Well,
Have we
we
done
did
any-
approve spending this money. If you might remember, we did not bond in 2023, so
Uh-huh.
we've got approval for several projects from council through the MARB, and we have spent general funds on those, and we're looking to replace our general funds.
Okay, that's what I thought.
With permanent financing.
Okay, so how much of it, do you know how much of it we've already spent?
I'm sorry, I don't. I
Okay.
don't know that number.
But not all of it, right?
No, I believe there's still some available.
Okay, okay. That's it, thank you.
Thank you.
Councilwoman Hosky?
So I do have a question. What cars do we expect to buy for 18 grand? Are we getting a little Prius? And I,
Yeah.
huh?
That's not 18.
Well, and at what point do we look at the cars we have and say, well, why do we have all these cars? Like, why do we need them?
We do have a lot of cars.
I believe the intention is to replace, what these cars were. I don't think we're gonna buy that many cars, but we do need the funding. And as I said before,
So are we gonna
custom
do
on
it
this list
differently
is to
than we
list the
did the
ones-
mayor's car? Like, are we gonna go out to bid or use the state bidding list? Like, how are we gonna do this differently
We're
so
gonna
that I
follow
don't
our
get?
procurement policies and
I
procure.
just wanted to ask, cause I know someone's gonna say, hey, you didn't ask, how we, cause I just don't know what car we're gonna get for 18 grand, unless we're buying like used cars, used cars,
So like
a
I said
po- a-
before, we're bonding against the cars that'll go out of service. We will not buy this many cars, obviously, because there's not enough money there to buy that many cars, but we will bond, we want to bond to be able to buy vehicles that are needed. And we won't buy vehicles just because we've bonded. We'll buy vehicles because they're needed.
and I appreciate you repeating yourself, cause I stutter and I tend to repeat myself.
sorry.
You don't have to be sorry, I'm not sorry. I don't say it like, but I'm saying, so I just wanna ensure that the public understands how this is going to go, so these 2004s, they're all gonna be junked, donated to, you know, how do we get rid of, or are we gonna go outside and maybe see them again?
I hope you don't see them again. In the case, many of these cars, we typically will drive them, and they'll be handed down to different people for, you know, occasional use by city employees when they have to go somewhere. And typically people will drive their own car because they're scared. So, anyway, but typically we hope to get a few $100s when we sell them for scrap.
Oh, so that's what we're gonna do,
we
so
will
they're not
typically
gonna
do
be
that.
retained, not at all,
Not,
because I'm sure we probably.
not a 2003 Crown Vic.
No, and I understand that, because we're probably, and I think that maybe Steve said it, or something else he said tonight that stuck in my head, is that, you know, we're not planning, we're probably repairing these and which would have paid for the bonding if we had done it, you know. But okay, I just wanted to make sure we kind of all understood,
Yes.
how that was going to go.
Yeah, I can assure you we will follow procurement policy.
I appreciate you saying that for the record. One more question.
Sure, floor is yours.
So, the street paving,
Yes.
the 920, is that for streets that already been paved?
And,
Or is that, do you know?
much of that would have been used just recently when we did our paving project, but there are still some more paving projects in the tank, I believe. Oh, no, I can't say, no, that might be a state project, but I was thinking of 160, oh gosh, is it two?
Jones?
162, that's a
Yeah,
state project.
That's a state project, so yeah.
No, I
But
appreciate that.
I do believe that there's still a couple
I
of
just
projects.
am wanting to set the record straight for the community that watches, that they're like, oh, 925 more streets.
Yeah.
But
No,
it's
no, well-
probably, thank you.
Yeah, we got what we got.
I'm more than likely done.
Could always come back to you. Any other council members have a question regarding this communication? Open it up to the whole council. So I'd like to make a motion within the finance committee that we amend the amount of the bonding ordinance to $12,780,100, and that the stipulation for the vehicle replacement is that the municipal fleet doesn't increase. Second?
Okay.
Second by Councilwoman Hosky. Any discussion on the amendment within finance? Okay, call the question, all in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay, and that motion carries.
Thank
That will
you
bring
so
us
much.
forward to a first read. Okay. No.
I have a question. Can I please?
You could, sure, of course you could.
I'm catching up. Well, the security cameras, I just wanted, these are not the ones that are going down at the beach, correct? I just wanna make sure everybody knows that, it's under IT.
Yeah, this would be for our buildings.
Okay, I just want people, so
Buildings.
city buildings,
Yes,
these
ma'am.
security cameras.
Yes.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I'm done now.
You good? Okay, communication F from the June 12, 23 agenda from Maureen Lillis, MPH, Director of Health Department, regarding change to the fee schedule. Is there a motion to approve?
Motion.
Second.
Is there any discussion? Is the health director here? She was here earlier.
She said bye.
She stepped out. I think she left.
Okay.
I think she didn't realize it would be on, I don't know what she was thinking, actually.
She probably thought it was just a public hearing and I'm going to change it.
That's what I think.
Mr. Taylor, you're not able to comment on it, right?
Unfortunately. I haven't seen it.
Okay, all right.
Sorry.
Without the health director here, I need to take back, if somebody could take back their second and the motion. All right, we're gonna hold the communication until next meeting.
Can we ask if our fees are being looked at?
Say that again?
Can I ask if all fees are being looked at? Oh, all the fees.
Yeah, I think Councilman Tucker had that same question earlier, right?
Oh.
Okay, communication J from the June 12, 2023 agenda from Abdul Qadir, City Engineer, regarding ordinance appropriating $6,956,000 for the cost associated with the upgrades to the Oyster River wastewater pumping station. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Councilwoman Hamilton, seconded by Councilwoman O'Connor. Abdul, would you come on up, please? And if you could just give us a brief overview of what the project entails.
This is the pump station of Oyster River. It was built in 1973 and upgraded in about 2001. Now it's being upgraded again. We had a project bid already. We have the bid, and this bond ordinance is based on the bid amount and the total expenditure. Now I have to submit the application for Clean Water Fund, and this is one of the requirements that it has to be a bond ordinance for that. Even though the money will come from the state, but they want the bond from the city. This project will get 20% grant and 80% loan at 2% interest for 20 years.
You said 50% grant.
No, 20%.
Okay. And a 2% loan for the remainder.
Yes.
Any questions for the engineer from the Finance Committee? Open it up to the council. Any questions for the engineer regarding the bond ordinance for the Oyster River wastewater pumping station? Okay. Councilman Donovan?
I don't know. Just briefly, what type of upgrades are we looking at? For that?
We're gonna replace all the mechanical, electrical equipment, HVAC, building improvements, and odor control systems.
And you said the last one was 2001 was the update?
Yes.
It was, yeah, so we'll definitely do. All right, thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, seeing none, back to the Finance Committee. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. Communication K from the June 12, 2023 agenda from Mayor Nancy R. Rossi regarding the NEVCO pilot proposal lease agreement has been withdrawn. That concludes your business of the Finance Committee, Mr. Chairman, at 8:41 p.m.
Thank you, Councilman Quagliani. And we go to unfinished business. Any unfinished business?
I have something. I was hoping Councilman Bruno would be here because he had started it last meeting. He had a resident that had said that we were breaking our code, one of our codes. So I looked into it. We are actually breaking one of our codes. I'd like to just read a little bit. Actually, I'd like to read all of it. It's 170-2, and it says, use of park areas for commercial purposes. No real property under the jurisdiction of the Board of Parks and Recreation, including but not limited to the beaches and water contiguous thereto, shall be leased, rented, or used for commercial purposes or uses, except that said board may approve the use of certain designated areas of said property for the flood of food, for the sale of food and soft drinks by a vendor or vendors, provided that such vendor or vendors shall enter into a contract with the city to operate such enterprise after the same shall be placed for public bid and awarded by the city comptroller in accordance with the provisions of the city charter. So I think we do need to look into this, and we need to probably change the wording on this, because now we have Brentwood Park with vendors that are selling crafts. We have the farmer's market that's selling crafts and other items. So I think we do really need to fix that, because in a sense, we are breaking our own code, and we shouldn't be doing that. We can carry it on to the next meeting when.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's here, the
He's
corporation.
Can you introduce yourself? I've been waiting forever to know who you are. Who's the man with the purple tie?
Attorney Mike Agello, helping out the Corporation Counsel's
Nice to meet
office.
you.
Nice to meet you too. What was the ordinance of that again, man?
That was 170-2, I believe. Yeah, 170-2.
Obviously, this is the first I'm hearing about it, but I'll be more than happy to look into that and get back to you.
Yeah, it was brought.
With an opinion?
It was brought to our attention by one of the residents, and she had spoken with Robert, Councilman Bruno, a couple weeks ago, and I spoke to her this week because it is my district, and I do want to apologize for that. I wasn't involved in that decision-making, but I do
Okay.
believe that the farmer's market is I think it's a great asset to the city, so.
So what is it that we're doing? I just, like, what is it that we're supposed to be doing wrong? Like, we can't have anything at parks?
We're not supposed to be selling things other than food and beverage.
What does the farmer's market sell?
Food and crafts and all kinds of art and, everything that you could imagine, probably, anything that people make.
So how does the Apple Fest do it? Like, they're
What does
on
it
the
mean when
green.
they have carnivals? How does that happen? You sell food at carnivals?
Not you. I'm saying for the corporation councils. Like, how do we then? And I mean,
Yeah, no, that's
how do
okay.
we do the Apple Festival on the green? I mean, this is
Right, so, I mean, that's a
right. It is the church, but yeah, no, you're right. I'm just saying that how does the church get to do that, but the farmers market? And I'm not saying right or wrong. I'm saying that if we are
No.
Maybe
But does
we should
the
just
green
fix the
doesn't
wording.
really belong to the city, so maybe it's different.
Yeah.
Who does it belong to?
It belongs to the church.
The entire green.
Yeah.
Happy anniversary.
But can I?
He's
I think we ought to have Corporation Counsel.
Okay.
Yes, I'll be more happy to review that and give you an opinion to that.
Question.
What?
Can we finish asking more questions?
Sure.
Yeah, because I guess I'm curious about how it's done when there are festivals and
Yeah,
carnivals and all those things that are held on the beach, right? So
The Savin Rock Festival.
the Savin Rock Festival. We have all those events that are held on city property, and there are things that are sold and food that's sold and other things. And so, how is that done?
Okay.
And can you give us the answer after the 22nd of July, please?
The Savin Rock Festival this weekend.
Mr. Chairman.
After Labor Day.
Can I just add, and
Yes.
would you include who the regulatory body is that controls that? I'm thinking that that's Parks and Rec and not us, but
Okay.
I'd just like
Yeah.
if you could take a look at that.
Because they do that, right?
Right, and I guess also, is there a permit that's required to be there, like a,
So if the church owns the green, why do you have to go to Park and Rec for approval to have something on the green? If it's the churches.
well, those are great questions.
As Eric's liaison, I have looked into this stuff.
Yeah. We wait with bated breath.
I will get that for you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Your
Nice to
answers
meet you.
gonna make me stutter.
Wonderful, thank you.
Okay, all set? Committee reports.
Okay.
We have communication A from the tax collector regarding overpayment refunds for June 2023, which will be filed with tonight's minutes, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Stacy. And now we'll go into committees. We'll go back to the Finance Committee.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Communication B to the Honorable City Council of the City of West Haven, your Committee on Finance. To whom has referred the matter with the city engineer regarding interdepartmental line item transfers. Report the committee met on the 26th day of June 2023 to consider said matter. It is the unanimous opinion of the committee that the following motion be presented. Resolve, the City Council of the City of West Haven hereby approves the following interdepartment line item transfers. Line item 1410001051000, regular wages, decrease $72,671. Line item 3050420005248, professional services, increase $72,671.
Okay, Councilman Quagliani has brought forward to approve communication B as read in the record. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion passes.
Communication C from David Taylor, Acting Finance Director, regarding an ordinance appropriating $12,780,100 is up for a first reading. An ordinance appropriating $12,780,100 from the fiscal year 22-23 capital plan and authorizes the issuance of that amount of bonds plus additional financing costs of the city to meet certain fiscal year 22-23 capital budget appropriations, and pending the issuance thereof, the making of temporary borrowings for such purpose. Proposed bond ordinance provides the following: approves and appropriates certain capital projects approved in the fiscal year 22-23 capital budget of the city, and authorizes city bonds in a maximum amount of $12,780,100 plus cost of issuance to finance such capital projects in accordance with requirements of Chapter 109 of the Connecticut General Statutes. Authorizes the mayor, the finance director, and the treasurer, the bond committee, to sell such bonds in a competitive or negotiated offering. Authorizes bonds to be issued pursuant to the terms of the city trust indenture. Authorizes bond committee to issue bond anticipation notes for short-term financing prior to the issuance of the bonds. Authorizes the bond committee to take all necessary actions in connection with the issuance of the bonds, including actions relating to the tax-exempt nature of the bonds, the reimbursement of prior city capital expenditures, and those needed to satisfy post-issuance disclosure obligations. Authorizes the mayor and the finance director and other duly authorized city officials to apply for grants and for capital projects, and will not increase the total number of the city's fleet. And I'd ask for a public hearing date, Mr. Chairman.
It'll be July 28th, 23 at 6:55. 20, is it 8?
I think it's the 24th.
Check it. Might be right.
I think it's the 24th.
July 24th.
Is it
24th?
Yeah,
24th.
it's the 24th.
Sorry.
It's okay. At what time there, Mr. Chairman?
6:55.
6:55?
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you. Communication F from the June 12, 2023 agenda from Maureen Lillis, Director of Health, regarding change in fee schedule has been held. Communication J from the June 12, 23 agenda from the city engineer regarding an ordinance appropriating $6,956,000 for the Oyster River wastewater pumping station. Communication J, your Committee on Finance, to whom was referred the matter from Abdul Qadir, City Engineer, regarding ordinance appropriating $6,956,000 for the costs associated with upgrades to the Oyster River wastewater pumping station. Reports that the committee met on the 26th day of June 2023 to consider said matter. It is in the unanimous opinion of the committee that the following motion be presented. To the Honorable City Council of the City of West Haven, resolve pursuant to the City Charter, Chapter 4, City Council, Section 7C, the following is a summary of the proposed ordinance concerning wastewater upgrades. The City Council approves the appropriation of $6,950,000 for the necessary upgrades to the Oyster River wastewater pumping station and empowers the mayor and the finance director to expend these funds for this purpose. And the City Council further approves and empowers the mayor and the finance director to fund and pay for the Oyster River wastewater pumping station upgrade with funds from the sale of municipal bonds in the amount of $6,950,000. And the City Council empowers the mayor and the finance director to receive and utilize funds from the Clean Water Fund for this Oyster River wastewater pumping station upgrade. And the City Council requires, as part of this ordinance, that all funds for this purpose are spent with the supervision and approval of the city engineer. And this ordinance is subject to the review and approval of the City Corporation Council. And the communication known as Communication J is incorporated by reference as part of the summary as is fully read herein, and the ordinance in its entirety is available for review on the city website upon request. Also resolved, be it resolved by the City Council of the City of West Haven that it is in the best interest of the City of West Haven to enter into contracts with the Department of Energy and Environmental Protection. In furtherance of the resolution, Nancy R. Rossi, the mayor, is duly authorized to enter into and sign said contracts on behalf of the City of West Haven, Connecticut. The mayor is further authorized to provide such additional information and execute other documents as may be required by the state or federal government in connection with said contracts and to execute any amendments, rescissions, and revisions thereto. The mayor is authorized to impress the seal of the City of West Haven, Connecticut on any such document, amendment, revision, or rescission.
Councilman Quagliani has brought forward communication J for approval. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion passes. Thank you, Councilman Quagliani.
Communication K from the June 12th agenda has been withdrawn. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thank you. Adoptions of ordinances previously presented and council liaison reports and new business.
I have a couple little things. I just want to make an announcement that the Morris Park cleanup on July 22nd is 10 to 12. Usually Kathy Hebert announces those, but she is not here today. Also, the Sandy Point Neighborhood Association potluck picnic got rained out, and it is now on July 22nd, 1 to 4 p.m. You can get details on the Sandy Point Bird Sanctuary page. Also, I'd like to make a motion to have the council consider a curfew for all juveniles under the age of 18. The details to be discussed in amongst ourselves.
I'll second that motion for discussion.
So I'd like to pick all of your brains. I think that we've got to do something. It's coming down to the point where.
Give us a legal opinion on that.
Oh.
Okay.
Okay.
Could we get a legal opinion if we even have the authority to issue a
Can we?
citywide?
It doesn't have to be
curfew?
citywide.
Well,
I'm asking for a curfew because of what's been going on at the beach. It's getting really awful.
Are you
It's
asking
terrible.
about the
I don't think
curfew
we have
for
the
the
authority
beach?
to
Or are
do
you asking, like, they can't be on the beach, or you mean citywide?
Well, I'm hoping that we can have it in the beach area because that seems to be where all the problems are stemming from. So we've got to do something. It's getting so bad. I'm really concerned that someone's going to get terribly hurt.
Oh, I just
know.
think that
I spoke
part
to-
of it. Oh, you spoke to police commissioners?
No, to the chief, and I asked, is this something that we could do? And he said you could try. So if that's why I'm trying.
Well, can we do that?
I mean, I'll look into that also.
Okay.
And see, I mean, it sounds like it's very limited, but.
Could you give me an answer tomorrow?
Do my best.
Okay, thank you. I'd appreciate
Because
that.
our next meeting isn't until
Oh,
July.
that's
We'd
right.
have to have a special meeting to pass them. And I'm not saying we don't, I just wanna make sure you
I'm
realize
just
that.
really concerned that.
No, I am a mother, I hear what you're saying, not my district, but I'm in that a lot. But I'm just saying, it would have to, the next meeting is July 24th.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
So, I would ask, Attorney Jello, I would just ask that you look at what resources we already have on the books that are available. It's my understanding that the parking lots and all that area is supposed to close a half an hour after sunset. So if that's still on the books and enforceable, that may be our near-term solution to enforce that.
Sure.
And then, yeah, I think I'd certainly be happy to find other initiatives that we could possibly ensure the safety of our people that
Sure, of
are
course.
traversing the public spaces in our city, so.
Sure, not a problem.
That's
Yeah.
it. Thank you.
Yes. I want to withdraw your
Yeah, I
second.
was
there.
gonna say we.
Yeah,
we need to-
that was my first thing, so I'll withdraw my second.
Okay.
And then, but I do have new business, Chairman.
Yeah, go ahead.
Mr. Chairman, I think, sitting here in light of public comment, for the first time since I've been on the council for a year and a half, we have a gentleman who's still here who apparently knows more about the Havens than we've been asking for over the last term. I think it would only be fair if he's here, if we gave him maybe 5 more minutes to pick his brain perhaps, and just, and give him the floor,
He said they sold it already.
Well,
if that's possible.
Did they sell it?
I could see your point to that, to there, but his first steps are, like, he's gotta go to planning and zoning. He's gotta go to planning and zoning, give
I
them a plan,
understand
find
that.
out what they're gonna
You're gonna
do.
buy it.
And personally, my personal opinion on this whole thing, I think if somebody comes and buys that property, see the people that are important, that are important to start the project, and the city stay out of it, because last time the city got involved in it, nothing happened, as far as I'm concerned. Let the gentleman go to the proper places, the proper departments, get what he needs, and then he can come and present what he wants to do, and so his planning and zoning comes and presents what he wants to do. I mean, I have no problem of listening to it later, but let's go to the proper steps first.
If
Fair
I
enough.
could, just 2 minutes, nothing to do with planning and zoning, just the status of the contract and the sale, which has got nothing to do with planning and zoning.
I know.
It have everything to do with you.
I don't know what that has to do with
You
us.
should care about who buys
But
that.
it really has nothing to do with us. We can't,
Everything to do with you.
we can't, if somebody, if Donald Trump wants to come and buy the place, we can't stop him.
You're absolutely wrong.
So-
You have every power in the world to stop Donald Trump from buying that. And zoning can stop it, and you can stop it.
No, we cannot
Yes,
stop
you
him.
I
can.
would like to hear what he has to say.
We don't have that power.
You do. You're not exercising it, but you absolutely have that power.
Can we ask the attorney, our corporation counsel, ask him, do we have the power to stop a third party from buying the Haven?
Well, I think what the gentleman is alluding to is that there's certain pressures that you could put on perhaps commissions, but, you know, whether that's legal, I mean, I wouldn't suggest interfering with.
Is it legal?
Well, I wouldn't, yeah, I don't think it's legal to interfere with a third-party contract.
Okay.
Thank
We're
you.
not suggesting interfering with a third-party contract. What we're suggesting is that the city articulate what it wants on a particular piece of property.
But it did,
If the
sir.
people who are
Sir, it
selected
did.
purchasers are
It-
not
it-
in
it did.
agreement with that,
But let me,
then you
so-
discourage them from buying it.
Sir, so the planning and zoning had a very long process of creating a municipal
Very
plan,
familiar.
right?
I'm very
Right, so that outlined what the city wanted in that plan, so that body, the planning and zoning
Waterfront
commission.
district is the result, and it's
Right,
executive.
they
It's
outlined,
got-
they outlined
10
that.
years later, it's a little outdated, but it was a good
Sir,
document.
so the planning and zoning commission outlined what the city wanted, and then developers came in, and unfortunately, we have what we have right now. But until the planning and zoning modifies that municipal development agreement, that's the guiding, language of the city.
Do you think that either the Reitmans or
So I don't know any of these people that you're talking about, and I wouldn't want to, because we're getting into a conflict of interest issue here.
you're not? You're not exercising any leadership, you're
Point
not
of order.
expressing what the city wants.
Okay,
That's
can I have a
your job.
motion to adjourn?
No, because I have some new business.
Oh,
Okay.
I
This is
take back
point of
my
order.
motion, but I'm not gonna listen to him tell what I'm not doing.
You got-
Like, that's so disrespectful. I'm sorry, Councilwoman.
I didn't mean to be disrespectful, I'm sorry.
Mr.
Yes.
Chairman, I just wanted to say that, most of us know that the Juneteenth, celebration was canceled on the 17th, and it's been moved to July 22nd. It's gonna be at the Brentwood Park. It's gonna be, 11 to 3 p.m., so I'm asking everybody to come out and help us. Let's all celebrate as a community. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Motion adjourned.
It's near you, Nate.
All in favor?
This was supposed to have been a short and sweet, and